Timothy Earl with Baseball Talk with the Earl Brothers, and we're back with some more college baseball. I know I'm a day late recording this one, but I wanted to go over the Tuesday and Wednesday games from college baseball. There was a bunch of upsets. I have a bunch of games listed for the recent midweek games, and I figured we go ahead and we discuss some of them because there was a lot of games. And for the people of the midweek games don't matter crowd, screw you. Yes, they do. They're a lot of fun. I really enjoy the midweeks a lot more than I enjoy the weekend series for sure, just because you got some small schools playing bigger schools in state. And we're going to talk about all of those today. But before we jump into it, if you guys are new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the good stuff. Appreciate all the support. Check out all links in the description below. We've got our YouTube channel, obviously, that we just started up. Make sure you guys are subscribing to that. Trying to hit 100 followers on there. Trying to reach 100 followers also on TikTok, on Instagram, and on Twitter. All of those are linked down in the description down below. So please go ahead and follow all the social medias. We're trying to grow the new channel. We'll go ahead and jump into what I'm going to call was the best game of the midweek. And that's when Southern Miss goes and beats Mississippi State 7-6. This was a game that was in Southern Miss, and between two teams that, I was very, very high on Southern Miss coming into the year. I liked them to win the Sun Belt. I wasn't as high on Coastal, and we've seen, unfortunately, Coastal was just dominated with injuries. We'll talk about Coastal in a minute. But we've got a Southern Miss team that very, very high on. They started off the game pretty solid. They started up 5-0 after 4. A 3-spot for Mississippi State in the top of the 5th. Gets them close. Then Mississippi State takes the lead 6-5 in the top of the 7th. And then 2 runs for Southern Miss in the bottom of the 7th. A couple of zeros after that. And a huge resume builder for Southern Miss, who is going to need all the wins they can. I believe they play Ole Miss next week in the in another midweek. So those are very, very important RPI building ones because, yes, the Sun Belt is a good conference, but they don't play Coastal, which is going to be an RPI builder for them. So definitely a big win for them that they 100% needed. And for Mississippi State, back-to-back losses for them after losing to UCLA. Both of them heartbreaking losses to start the year, but they're 11-2. They're a top 5 team in the nation. I wouldn't be worried about them at all. For Mississippi State fans, you guys are doing just fine. We finally got to see NC State face competition for once. And then NC State goes and beats Coastal Carolina. That was a 6-4 game. Started off both teams scoring a run in the first inning. Coastal off of a homer from Pato, and McHughes for the NC State Wolfpack. Couple of RBI hits later on in the game. The ultimate decider was McHugh once again hitting his second home run of the game for NC State, which was a 2-run shot to give NC State that 6-4 lead. That was in the bottom of the 8th. After Coastal Carolina tied up in the top of the 8th. So back and forth game there, and NC State's able to hold on. They're now 12-1 to start the year. But I will say Coastal Carolina is the only legitimate competition that they had faced to start the year. Up next, we've got Oregon and Oregon State, which we saw Oregon State win the Civil War 10-6. And why am I going to bring up? I realized that the ranked team won this game. It was in Oregon, and with an Oregon State team that had not really been scoring a whole lot of runs lately, and a Oregon team that has been really good pitching wise. And then Oregon State goes into Oregon and puts up a barrage of 10 runs. So good to see for the Beavers, who are still ranked at 7-4. 10-2 now. There was the second loss for Oregon. I believe their first loss came to UC Irvine in the weekend before. Oregon did jump out to a 1-0 lead in that game. Oregon State takes the lead 3-2, 3-1 in the top of the 3rd. They tack on 3 more in the 5th, 2 more in the 6th, 3 more in the 7th. Oregon had 2 in the bottom of the 6th, 3 in the bottom of the 8th. Ultimately, was not able to come up in that game. So big game for the Oregon State Beavers. Good bounce back after kind of what was like a weird looking weekend for them. So good to see them kind of bounce back after all of that. Next up, we're gonna go over a team that probably people won't hear a whole lot of this year, and that's gonna be Morehead State. And here is one of the big examples of why midweek games matter. You got a Morehead State team who was playing Louisville. In case anybody doesn't know, Morehead State's not that far from Louisville. It is a close drive to Louisville, and a lot of those players on Morehead State probably were rejected by Louisville. Louisville starts with a 2 spot in the bottom of the 2nd. Morehead State goes, hold my beer, puts up 2 in the top of the 4th, 6 in the top of the 5th. Louisville responds with a run in the bottom of the 6th, but a 4 spot for Morehead State in the 7th. Kind of puts that game away. At that point, they were up 12-3. 2 spot for Louisville in the bottom of the 7th. An insurance run in the top of the 9th for Morehead State. And they took care of business in that one. Morehead State is now 5-7. So once again, you got a team that has not been good all year. They have some rough losses. They've lost like UMass Lowell. But now you look at it, Morehead State has 5 wins this year. One of them is against Louisville. The other one is against Kentucky. So out of the 5 wins. So Louisville, Kentucky, 2 against UMass Lowell, and 1 against Southern. So a team that has not been playing well. A team that got swept by Winthrop has wins against Kentucky and Louisville. I love college baseball. Speaking of more small schools, how about Central Arkansas at the time giving Vanderbilt their 4th straight loss after Vanderbilt got swept in the Vegas series this weekend. They go and play Central Arkansas at home and fall flat. Central Arkansas wins that game 5-4. Louisville fans, y'all are gonna be fine. I have no lack that I think you guys are gonna be just fine. Central Arkansas put up a 3 spot in the 3rd inning. Vanderbilt put up a run each in the 4th, 5th, and 6th. 2 runs for Central Arkansas in the 5th as well. And then Vanderbilt tried to come back. They put up a run in the bottom of the 8th, but that was all they were able to get. A 5-4 game there for Central Arkansas versus Vanderbilt. So a kind of an ugly game for Vanderbilt, but we'll talk about them in a little bit. We'll bring up another unranked versus unranked, but like Virginia could be ranked in a couple of they are ranked on a couple. They're just not ranked on D1, which is the important one. Charlotte whooped their ass. Opening that was a Tuesday night. They went 14-0. They scored in every single inning, and it was a 7-inning run rule. 1 run, 6 runs, 2 runs, 2 runs, 2 runs, 1 run. So Charlotte beats the ever-living shit out of Virginia in that first game. And then we'll quickly bring up what happened in their following game because they played each other again the next night, and Virginia takes care of business. So they end up splitting that midweek series. Virginia got off to an early start and kind of never looked back. They scored 4 runs in the first inning. Charlotte retaliated with 1 in the bottom of the 1st, and that was all Charlotte would get throughout the rest of the game. Virginia puts up 1 in the 4th and 3 in the 8th. 8-1 win for Virginia versus Charlotte. So they end up splitting that series. How about the biggest upset of the week? UL Lafayette beats number 2 LSU to give LSU their 3rd straight midweek loss. It was McNeese State they lost to. And I don't remember who was last week, but like they have 3 straight midweek losses for the number 2 team in the nation. And very concerning for them. Now, sold out crowd for UL Lafayette. If you want to go back, go to Wheels' YouTube channel, WHEELZ on YouTube, and find that LSU Louisiana Lafayette game. Like, that crowd was electric the entire time. They scored 3 in the bottom of the 1st and never looked back. LSU did put up 2 in the top of the 5th, but a 3 spot in the bottom of the 5th kind of put the game away, and an extra run in the bottom of the 7th. A 7-2 win for UL Lafayette. Huge win for them. We'll go ahead and talk about Southern Miss again, although we're going to talk about not them, but how about Nicholls State going into Southern Miss and beating them? I felt like this was going to happen. The only reason why I felt like this was going to happen, we talked about what happened the night before. Southern Miss beat Mississippi State the night before, so kind of a big letdown spot. It's Southern Miss's second loss of the year. It snaps their 11-game winning streak after losing the opening night to Santa Barbara. Southern Miss did score first. They went up 1-0. Nicholls tied it in the 3rd. Southern Miss took the lead in the 4th. Nicholls State took the lead back in the 5th, 3-2, and a bunch of zeros after that, and that would do it for the game. I will say Matthew Russo for Southern Miss was involved in both of their runs, but was not enough. Nicholls State, congratulations, you have a top 10 win. And I know I said probably the game of the week was Southern Miss and Mississippi State. Yeah, if I said that in front of one of my roommates, she would not be happy with me because her Western Carolina Catamounts go into Georgia and beat them 10-9. That was not expected. So back-to-back wins for Western, including winning 3 out of their last 4. And those 3 wins included wins against Troy, East Carolina, and now Georgia. And it didn't come easy for them at all. Georgia jumps out to a 2-0 lead. Western Carolina ties it up in the top of the 2nd. They take a 3-2 lead in the 4th. Georgia takes the 4-3 lead going after 4. A 3 spot for Western Carolina in the top half of the 8th gave them a 5-4 lead, a 6-4 lead, but a 4 spot in the bottom of the 8th gave Georgia back the lead, 8-6. 2 outs, 2 strikes, and a grand slam in the top of the 9th for Western off the bat of Holton. Huge, probably biggest home run in program history. Georgia got 1 back in the bottom of the 9th, and a close play, bang play at first that they called that he got him, ends the game, and Western picks up a huge win in Athens. That's probably I know number 2 LSU loss. I know Southern Miss loss. I want to call this one the biggest upset of the week, considering that this was Western going into Georgia. The other upset that LSU went to Lafayette, so it was a road game. Western goes into Georgia, and a big win for them there. 2 more games that we'll talk about. Vanderbilt gets back in the win column with a 4-1 win versus Troy. They were able to get 2 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th. Troy gets 1 in the 9th. Other than that, there was not a lot of scoring in that one. Troy not off to a great start. They're now 5-7 to start the year, and a team that I projected to be top 3 in the Sun Belt. Granted, there's still time. They're not off to a good start for the year. Vanderbilt gets back up to 8-6, snaps their 4-game losing streak to begin the year. So good for Vandy to get back in the win column. I'm really hoping that Troy can start winning again soon. I want to see a very competitive Sun Belt, even more competitive Sun Belt conference, because I mean we saw that Sun Belt conference is deep. So I'm hoping that we can get even more depth in that one. And it wouldn't be a video if I didn't end it with my East Carolina Pirates. ECU beats UNCW 5-3. 2 spot for ECU in the top of the 3rd. UNCW gets 1 back. ECU gets that run back in the 7th, 2 spot in the 8th. A little bit of traffic in the 9th inning. Wilmington scores 2 in the bottom of the 9th. Not enough. ECU wins 5-3, puts ECU up to 7-5-1. They'll be going up against Coastal this weekend in a big matchup. But that is the midweek games. If you guys have any other games that you thought, hey, you should have brought it up, I probably should have talked about Marshall over Virginia Tech on Tuesday. That was a 13-4 game. Big win for Marshall. Xavier takes care of Ohio State on the road. But other than that, like there wasn't really a whole lot of upsets. Close game between Wake Forest and App State. So that was a 9-8 Wake Forest win in App State. So kind of a nice win for them. I forgot to bring up one game. Florida beats Florida A&M 7-5. The only reason I'm bringing up that one, there was a play that gave Florida the lead. It was a ground ball, and there was a play at first base where the defense tagged the wrong first base because there's the double base now in college. They tagged the runner's base, not the actual base that they should have, and he was ruled safe, and a run scored. And we did look. I did look it up. Florida A&M does not have a double base, so they got a little bit confused. But I figure I mentioned that one. That was a very interesting game. But that was the midweek madness. There will be another. I will have another recap video for this weekend that will come out either Monday or Tuesday. But let me know which game you guys thought was the craziest for this weekend, and I'll be back again for the next one. Peace out, guys.